Hello, my friends, and welcome to another Post-to-Post video. My name is Neil, and if you're new here, please consider hitting the subscribe button. Today we're talking about John Tortorella, and it's one of the most polarizing names in the entire NHL. He has coached on multiple teams: Vancouver, the Rangers, Columbus, obviously now, Tampa Bay. He's been around, and it seems that wherever he goes, I guess the best way to word it is, he gets in trouble. He kind of gets in trouble. And not in the sense that he gets in trouble and he's fired because he gets in trouble, but he has a mouth that he's not afraid to use. It's probably my favorite thing about him. I love the drama that comes with John Tortorella. I'm sure as a fan of the team, if he's cheered for your team, you're probably like, oh, what's he going to say this time? How much is he going to get fined? That's a real possibility. The man's been fined a lot, but as aggressive as he is, he actually has, I'm just going to start this off. He has a really warm heart, and what I mean by that is, that's kind of an odd sentence to say, an odd sentence to lean into, but he was picked as the All-Star coach, or one of the All-Star team's coaches, I think it was 3 years ago, and he accepted, but I think it was the week before the All-Star game, or maybe it was just a couple of days, he actually pulled out of it. He declined. He had a family dog that passed away, and he really wanted to be there for his family and take care of that, so if you don't know that about John Tortorella, you should, and now you do, because as aggressive as you think he is, as mean as you think he is, and as crazy as you might think he has a really big heart as well. So just remember that about John Tortorella. So I'm going to be a little bit harsh on him here in this video, but I really want you to know how good of an actual person that he can be. So anyways, let's lead into it. John Tortorella has, if we can just look at his career as a whole, for the most part, he's coached some full seasons, he's coached some half seasons, and some, when he first entered the league, I think he only coached like 4 games in his first actual, couple games he coached in the NHL. It wasn't a full season or anything like that. So I'm not going to count those. I'm not going to count the half seasons. I'm not going to count the first one. But I want to look at each season and see how many times he actually made the playoffs in a full season and how many times he missed the playoffs. And I believe, if I remember correctly, I looked at this last night, of the 16 full seasons he's coached in the NHL, he has missed 5 seasons. His team did not make the playoffs, but 11 seasons he actually made the playoffs. Now he's won Stanley Cup under his belt. He is possibly the reason that the Columbus Blue Jackets have turned around their franchise. I guess they were always kind of a bubble team a little bit, but never really super competitive. John Tortorella came in. He made them basically competitive for the first time, which is pretty cool. They did some damage in the playoffs, and there's a lot of excitement. And things really faltered this year. So there's been a lot of conversation about, hey, is it time for John Tortorella to kind of be done? Like, I know he did some good things, but, this season, it's not good. I think he's lost the room. So there's a lot of those conversations happening. And speaking of conversations, I wanted to involve you guys. So I put a question out to my Patreon folks on Patreon and on Discord in our Patreon chat. And I said, hey, if anyone wants to be in a video, please film yourself for around a minute giving your thoughts on whether John Tortorella should be fired or not. And I'm not playing favorites here. I just, I would not be here without my Patreon members. I would literally not be here. So I like to give back to them as much as I possibly can. And I have 3 people who submitted videos. So we're going to actually look at those in this video and hear some thoughts from other fans around the league. One is a Boston fan, one is a Columbus fan, which is awesome, and one is a Dallas Stars fan, which is a little bit of a comical one. So we're going to start this off by listening to the Boston Bruins fan. So this is Jacob. Take it away, Jacob.
John Tortorella is an interesting case and polarizing coach. I wouldn't say that he should be fired per se, just because of the year in and year out success of his teams, being that they're always in playoff contention, and or at least a competitive team. I think this is the first year in quite some time where his team wasn't in playoff contention this late in the season. But when you have multiple players like Pierre-Luc Dubois and Patrick Laine wanting to leave in the same season, I think there's something that needs to be addressed within John Tortorella and his coaching style, because a player like Laine, that is going to give you 30 to 40 goals in a season, you shouldn't be as worried about that being a two-way player if you know they're going to put up points like that. I mean, everyone knows that like Leon Draisaitl is a defensive liability, but not much is worried or said about just because you know what you're going to get point wise, game in and game out.
All right, thanks, Jacob, for sending that in. Appreciate it. So, Jacob made some really good points there. He talked about Line and he talked about year in and year out success. And of the 5 years that Tortorella did not make the playoffs with the team, he was very close in a lot of those years. And Jacob said this is really one of the first years that Tortorella has not been part of a competitive team, at least close to the playoffs. And he's right. It's odd. It's very strange seeing a John Tortorella team at the bottom of the league, basically. So, very strange. Good point, Jacob. And he also talked about Line. So Line is probably one of the worst defensive players in the entire NHL, but you kind of have to treat him like Draisaitl, like he said, or maybe an Ovechkin. Everyone knows that Ovechkin is not a good defensive player, or wasn't. Now, Barry Trotz changed that a little bit, and he didn't drastically change Ovechkin's game. He just slightly changed it. And I think that's what John Tortorella could not get out of, or cannot get out of, Patrick Line. And Dubois wanted out, and there's been a lot of turnover in Columbus. A lot of turnover in the past 2 or 3 years. So does that have anything to do with John Tortorella? We may never know, but I can tell you one thing. Patrick Line is not being utilized in Columbus, and I'm pretty sure he doesn't want to be there. I think as I'm filming this, he is slated to be on the 4th line tonight. I don't care how defensively unreliable Line is. You got to put him out there. Put him on the first or second line. Get him out there. Get him scoring some goals. He's going to make mistakes defensively. You just have to accept it. You have to guide him a little bit. Don't punish him and don't bench him and put him down to the 4th line. That's not going to teach him anything, okay? He's an offensively minded player. That's where his talent is. That's where his gifts are. Utilize it. So I think it's a big mistake throwing him down there on the 4th line. You're not going to teach him a lesson. That's been tried on Patrick Line before, and it hasn't worked, okay? It hasn't worked. You need to reward him with his positive play. And maybe the rewarding him with his positive play will make him realize that he should contribute defensively as well. And there's other things he can do and whatnot. And I'm not going to go into it, but I think there's a big issue there with Line and Tortorella. So let's move on to the next person. This one's coming from an actual Columbus Blue Jackets fan. This is Aaron. Aaron, what you got for us?
Coach Tortorella, I cannot thank you enough for what you have done for the city of Columbus and to the Columbus Blue Jackets organization. It really means a lot. You brought our team into relevancy for the first time. You helped us sweep the unstoppable Tampa Bay Lightning. I was there to witness it. It was one of the most electric hockey moments I've ever witnessed. The most exciting moment I've witnessed as a Blue Jackets fan. You've lost relevancy. You've been a fantastic coach, but Coach Tortorella, it's time for a departure. You know, all good things must come to an end, and I believe that your tenure in Columbus it's time to end. The system isn't working anymore. Patrick Line is a natural scorer. He's not a defenseman. Thank you for everything that you've done, Coach Tortorella. I wish you luck in whatever next career opportunity you have. Good luck, and thank you from the city of Columbus.
Damn, Aaron went straight into he wasn't even talking about whether we should fire or whether Columbus should fire John Tortorella. He sent a personal message to John Tortorella saying, basically, thank you for being a part of the organization, but guess what? You're gone. That's kind of the gist I got from that. So Aaron's ruthless in that video. So ruthless but very calm. I appreciate that, Aaron. You made some good points, and it's really good that you, as a Columbus Blue Jackets fan, look at Tortorella and see. You're obviously frustrated. There's lots of Columbus Blue Jackets fans that are, but you're super respectful about it. You instead of throwing him under the bus or trashing him, you thanked him, which really says a lot about your character. And I've seen this conversation a lot from Columbus Blue Jackets fans, so I think that says a lot about Columbus Blue Jackets fans as well. A really awesome fan base to see that, just as a fan on the outside to see that. So kudos to you. And he brought up Line, so we kind of already talked about that. But yeah, it's just really interesting to see a Columbus Blue Jackets fan basically send a farewell message to Tortorella before he's even fired. So if that is not the biggest tell of his opinion, then I don't know what is. So let's take a look at the last person here. We have a Dallas Stars fan. Guys, we got the famous T-Park. T-Park, what you got?
John Ralphio Tortellini is done.
Epic. What an amazing video, T-Fire. Good job. You just went right straight forward. There's nothing else to say. You're done. You are done. So it seems like a lot of people agree that this is kind of his last. His time is over in Columbus. Now, we've been talking about whether he should be fired or not, and that's what the title says. But this, if I'm not mistaken, this is the last year on Tortorella's contract. So although he won't technically be fired likely, they're just going to let his contract expire. They will not renew him. So technically he's not fired. But guys, we all know that just because technically you don't get fired, if you don't get renewed for a coaching job, that's basically getting fired. So John Tortorella seems to be weeks away from his last time coaching as a Columbus Blue Jackets head coach. Now, for the future of John Tortorella, well, what do we think? I think he won't go anywhere soon. I think he'll probably take a little bit of a break. I definitely think he has a lot to contribute in the NHL, but I have lots of worries about John Tortorella because he seems to go into a team, turn it around regardless of the makeup of the team, have success, do amazing things, and then he's a little bit too hard on players. It's the most obvious trend of any coach in the entire league. He's too hard on players. They get tired of it. They get emotionally exhausted, and they check out. They're just gone. They're emotionally uninvested. So that's when he loses the room. That's when he usually moves on. And I hope it doesn't happen again. I don't know where he's going to go. Like I said, I don't think it's going to be anywhere right away. We may see him in maybe a support role as an assistant coach or something before we see him as an actual coach. I could definitely see him quicker becoming an assistant coach somewhere versus a head coach. Lots of value there. So I don't know. I'm conflicted. I like John Tortorella as a person. He's probably one of my favorite coaches in the entire league as a person. But I think his time is done in Columbus, and I think he's okay with it. I think Columbus Blue Jackets fans are obviously okay with it, and I think the players are very much looking forward to it. So that's my thoughts on the situation. Thank you to my Patreon members who contributed. I will be doing that on pretty much a regular basis now, at least once a month. So if you want to get in a video, consider supporting the channel on Patreon. It helps me give back to the community as well in other ways, like the jersey giveaways, like contests, helps pay for the podcast hosting fee, which is hopefully coming back soon. All the editing software, all that stuff. So I appreciate the support on Patreon. I appreciate all the views, all the likes, all the comments, and yeah, what do you think about John Tortorella? What's his future hold? Have a great day, guys. I'll catch you later. Adios.